Okay, so what was his thinking? Kotelian thinking, Chanakya Kotelia. He is the proponent of hardcore offensive realism, and he gave this theory that you know sixfold theory in his book Arthashastra. Now, in his sixfold theory, sixfold policy, actually, he gave 6 points like peace, war, neutrality, marching alliance, double policy. अच्छा, इनमें से जो आपको रेलिवेंट करेगा ना इस क्वेश्चन के ऊपर, in this question you are going to talk about the alliance, strategic alliance between the United States of America and India. Chanakya says peace, war, neutrality, marching alliance, double policy. Peace, war, neutrality, marching alliance, double policy. ये 6 पॉलिसीज हैं चाणक्य की. इनमें से एक जो है दैट इज अलायंस, जिसके अंदर वो कहता है अ किंग मस्ट फोर्ज अलायंस विद सुपीरियर किंग so he can improve his overall capabilities, he can overcome its weaknesses. तो ये वो सारी ये जो थ्योरी है आपकी क्लासिकल रियलिज्म जितनी भी है, ये सारी वहीं से डिराइव करती है. चाणक्य, कोतेलिया, ये जितने भी हैं लोग, मैकियावेली है उसके बाद के, या फिर उसके बाद थॉमस हॉब्स वगैरह उससे पहले, और ये सारे जितना भी है ये यहाँ से इसको डिराइव करते हैं. मॉर्गन थॉ वगैरह वो रिसेंट आ जाते हैं, लेकिन जॉन मीरशीमर वगैरह इनको आप पढ़ते हैं, मॉडर्न स्ट्रेटेजिक थियरिस्ट हैं जो भी. लेकिन जो क्लासिकल रियलिज्म है टॉक्स ये आती है, ओरिजिनेट करती है चाणक्य कोतेलिया जैसे लोगों से. चाणक्य कोतेलिया ने क्या कहा था अपनी थ्योरी में? A king must forge alliance with superior kings. So this is the thinking which at that time Chanakya Kautilya applied, and he advised to his king Chandragupta Maurya, and ultimately they established the biggest ever Hindu empire in this region. इसी को ज़हन में रखते हुए we'll move forward. First of all, you need to understand the geography of India. India is it's a huge country. It has a land boundaries of about 15,000 kilometers plus, and the total length of its coastline, including Andaman and Nicobar Islands, is about 7,500 kilometers, which is huge. It connects from three sides. It connects the see. Let me show you another map on it. For example, from the Mumbai side, it has 3 naval commands. It has the first command is Mumbai Naval Command. The second is in Kochi, which the Mumbai command overlooks the Arabian Sea. Kochi, which is there at the bottom, it overlooks the Indian Ocean region, and then Visakhapatnam is the third command, which looks after the Bay of Bengal. So this is how their maritime dominance is there. Apart from that, most of 90% of their trade is by sea. It's a huge country in South Asia, the biggest country, landmass wise, population wise, and most importantly, the Indians, their position is such in the Indian Ocean region. And Indian Ocean region, as you know, that this is a very important region. Every year, $1 trillion trade pass through, or cargo ships and other large maritime trade pass through this region, carries out this region. So this region is very important, and Indian position in this region is very important. So this is the reason that the United States of America want to cultivate good ties with the this country. So the primary, you can say, concern of the US and India in this region is China, of course. Both want to counter the Chinese assertiveness in the Asia Pacific and, of course, in the Indian Ocean region. So this is the reason. Why the United States of America want to cultivate good ties with India? First of all, you need to understand and apply this thing on this situation. India is a big country. Its population is about 1.38 billion, which is too big. It's a huge market for the American goods. So this is the reason that India is, want to cultivate good ties. Especially, it started during the Bush era, and from there onwards, during the Obama era, their ties improved. Obama in 2010 visited along with 300 businessmen, and he, according to Obama, he generated about 50,000 jobs for the Americans. So this is the reason that they want to cultivate good ties with the Indians. Second, India is a big economy. Their economy GDP is about $2.59 trillion. which is, of course, it's a good economy. And this is the reason that the United States of America want to connect with this economy. Plus, they have also got strong labor force of about 500 million people. So this is also something which is very good, and it is in the favor of India. And this is the reason that India is growing at a higher rate. Apart from that, the United States of America, they believe that currently their trade, bilateral trade, is about $92 billion. But they aimed this, that they are going to achieve 500 billion mark by 2024. So this is something, unique in this relationship, that they have got, political ties, they have got good economic ties, and they are also, deeply connected strategically, defense point of view. So, कुछ कह रही हैं अरूज आप?
No, sir, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, so let's quickly look at their threat perception. What are the Indian threat perception? What are the US threat perceptions in South Asia and in the Asia-Pacific region? Of course, it's China, which is posing threat to both countries. United States of America, as I told you before in the previous lecture, United States of America is stationed in East Asia, in Japan, to maintain their dominance in that particular region. And China is, of course, is there in the neighborhood. So they are there in East Asia just to protect their sea lanes of communications, and of course their allies from any aggressive role of China. They are now in South Asia as well. They believe, the Americans and the Indians believe, that the Chinese are, asserting themselves in this region, especially in the Indian Ocean region. And you might have heard about the China's strings of pearls strategy, in which the Chinese, they are, cultivating their ties with the regional powers, regional countries. They have got bases starting from Kenya, then you got, beyond Yemen, Oman, Iran, and Chabahar and other places like Myanmar. They have got a base in the Coco Island, which is close to the Indian Andaman Nicobar Islands, and then Sri Lanka, and of course Pakistan. So all these bases of yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. Is this string of pearls different from the that Silk Road, जो उनकी वो traditional Silk Road है? Is this something different?
See, this name strings of pearls is given by the Indian policymakers and the American policymakers. इसको manipulate करने, इसको मिलान करने के लिए वो बात करते हैं कि चाइना जो है वो सारे रीजन को इसको कवर करके इंडिया को थ्रेटन कर रहा है. Whereas Silk Route or New Silk Route, that is a trade route basically. That's a maritime trade route. और उसको आप उसके साथ जो ना लोग लिंक कर देते हैं स्ट्रिंग्स ऑफ पर्ल्स के साथ. स्ट्रिंग्स ऑफ पर्ल्स की जो ना नेगेटिव कनोटेशन है, जो ये इंडियंस और द अमेरिकन पॉलिसी मेकर्स देते हैं, और वो मिलिट्री के साथ उसको लिंक करते हैं कि चाइनीज आर कमिंग अप विद मिलिट्री आउटपोस्ट्स इन दीज रीजन्स. Whereas Maritime Silk Route or Silk Route or New Silk Route or BRI, they are the same concepts. Through those routes, Chinese are connecting their economy with the world. Okay?
Yes.
So this is what the Chinese are doing. They have got bases around in this region, in South Asia and beyond, in the Indian Ocean region, and of course, so ये जो सारी bases हैं, Indians are also a bit cautious about it. So this is the major threat for the Indians, that Chinese are present in this region and Chinese are assertive in this region. As I told you before, I think, Aruj, that Chinese have got about 64 nuclear submarines, whereas the Indians, they have only got I think one Arihan submarine which is operational. Akula 2 is a submarine which is on lease by the Russians, and its lease would also end in 2025. But at the same time, they are acquiring 5 more nuclear submarines, which is going to give India with a greater outreach in the Indian Ocean region, and of course second strike capability against Pakistan. So this is the threat perception which they are facing, the Chinese assertiveness in the Indian Ocean region. So both countries want to cultivate more good ties just to counter this threat. India is playing double cards. India is getting weapons and equipment and technology from the US in the name of China, but they are equipping themselves, and most of their concentration is against Pakistan. Their military deployment, land forces, their air bases, their maritime concentration, if you analyze, it is all against Pakistan. So basically, the Indo-US strategic collaboration is not only impacting the regional security, but specifically it is creating security dilemma for Pakistan. So in the coming slides, we'll analyze all these things. Another important facet of Indo-US strategic ties is their counterterrorism and information intelligence sharing pacts. Both countries, after 9/11, they have been working together to counter terrorism. They have carried out many they have taken many initiatives to achieve this goal. So they are basically exchanging information about different terrorist organizations, whether it is Lashkar-e-Taiba, whether it is Al Qaeda in South Asia, in subcontinent. So both are working together. They are RAW and CIA. They are working together. Especially जो मुंबई अटैक्स पे डेविड हेडले वाली जो इंफॉर्मेशन थी ना, वो अमेरिका प्रोवाइडेड टू दी इंडियंस. डेविड हेडले वाज वन ऑफ द एक्यूज्ड इन द मुंबई अटैक्स, और उसके ऊपर ये था कि उसने जितनी भी स्ट्रेटेजिक साइट्स थी या जहां जहां पे अटैक हुआ था, मुंबई अटैक हुआ था, उसकी फिल्म करके उसने लश्कर तैयबा को बेची थी. So basically he was Pakistani American. So this is something which is there, and this counterterrorism strategy, it is working for them. Both countries are collaborating deeply in this particular arena. Counter threat of improvised explosive devices, both are working on this initiative as well, because the Americans, their 65% of casualties in Afghanistan were because of the IEDs, improvised explosive devices. And India is now, India is also facing this threat in their northeast part. For example, Kashmir ke andar bhi, recently they lost about 44 soldiers in an attack in kahan pe hua tha, Pulwama. And they are also witnessing IED attacks in the Chhattisgarh, or jitne inke Nagaland or Naxalite jahan pe hain sare, the Seven Sisters ka jo area na. So they are facing these threats there. So both countries are collaborating with each other to overcome this threat. The most important collaboration between India and US is their defense ties. And to achieve these defense ties and to achieve these goals, both countries are working together. And they have recently in last few years they carried out defense technology and trade initiative. Isko DTDI kaha jata hai. And according to this initiative, they are going to the technology transfer will take place, and they are also going to co-develop things, like for example, America offered India that they are going to establish F-16s unit in India, in which they are going to develop F-16, but India is not seriously looking at it. But these things, joint collaboration and technology transfer, would revamp Indian indigenous defense capabilities. And so this is something very serious for Pakistan, and this is what we have to analyze. Both countries are collaborating with each other, especially according to Stockholm SIPRI, for example, so Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. This particular think tank analyzed the arms race in the region around the globe. So according to SIPRI, India was the world's second largest importer of arms during 2014 to 2019 period, after Saudi Arabia. So during that period, India bought about $16 billion worth of weapons, and most of these weapons were from Russia, of course, because from Russia they buy submarines, they buy aircraft carrier, helicopters, Su-30 aircraft, T-90 tanks, Kamov helicopter, so many other things they buy from the Russians. Even today, the 70% of arms comes from Russia. So most of the supplies were from Russia. And the US and Israel, they also made up of 14% and 12% respectively arms supplies. So this is something, 14% of the Indian arms in a nutshell comes from the US. So which is very good for the Indians, and this collaboration is increasing day by day. From 2008 to 2020, India ordered 7 different major US military platforms. They are modern weapon and equipment. We'll discuss in the coming slides. The US is India's fourth largest source of arms after Russia, Israel, and France. So all these countries, these four suppliers, they are basically the superior kings, as Chankya Kautilya, classical realist, talks about. So this is what you are going to discuss. And with this, India is going to improve their overall capabilities. They are going to maximize their power, which is another assumption of the classical realism and of course offensive realism, which John Meir Shimmer talks about. So you can apply these things on here, that India is maximizing their power with the help of strategic alliances with major powers. With India-US trade increasing significantly from 200 million in 2000 to over US $20 billion in 2020. So this is the spike which has taken place after 9/11. So in last 20 years, the trade has touched $20 billion mark. Both countries are collaborating in different areas of you can say a military domain. For example, the first thing, in 2014, both countries developed Javelin anti-tank missile. This particular missile is a nightmare for the Pakistani tanks and APCs, armored personnel carriers. So this is something a very dangerous thing, and it is used against Pakistani tanks, Pakistani outposts at LOC. They use these things against our assets there. So this is highly precise weapon, and they are collaborating this thing together. Second important thing which India and US collaborated was Apache attack helicopter, 22 Apache helicopters. You have to analyze these things in right perspective. For example, if they are buying Apache helicopter, so what is the implication of Apache helicopter for a country like Pakistan or China? So let me tell you that it has no significance, no major significance against China, because they are not going to deploy these weapons against China. These weapons, these platforms are being deployed against Pakistan. And the 22 Apache attack helicopters, they are equipped with 1,200 rounds of ammunition. They are equipped with Hellfire missiles. Like for example, it can carry 16 Hellfire missiles. So how it is going to threaten Pakistan's security? It is lethal for Pakistani, ground forces. For example, over tanks, artillery, or air defenses. They are vulnerable to, such highly sophisticated platform like Apache helicopters, because it flies low, and over air defense systems, it flies at the bottom, you can say, and beyond the radar capacity of air defense system. So this is a threat for Pakistani air defenses, Pakistani tanks, ground forces, and of course bunkers. It can destroy all these things. So it is also considered as the flying tank, because it is such a lethal machine, and it would seriously hamper Pakistani security. So India is actually connecting all these things with their land warfare strategies. Previously, they had Cold Start doctrine. Now, in modern times, in 2018, they have come up with land warfare doctrine of 2018. It's a new land warfare doctrine in which they are aiming for quick and swift forces. So such acquisitions are actually supporting the Indian doctrines. Another important thing, which is P-8I aircraft, and this particular aircraft has, a huge significance as far as its, maritime application is concerned. As I told you before, that India is dominant in the Indian Ocean region, and they consider Indian Ocean region as Indian lake, because they believe Indian Ocean region belongs to India. So this is the reason they have acquired such highly sophisticated maritime surveillance aircraft. This aircraft has a range of about 400 kilometers, nautical miles, you can say. It covers an area of about 1,200 nautical miles, and it carries modern weapons, for example. And why it is a threat for Pakistan? It can take out Pakistani vessels underwater, surface, or subsurface. It can also detect Pakistani aircraft, UAVs, submarines are serious, under the serious, you can say, the Pakistani submarines are going to face grave threat from this particular aircraft. You might have, noticed that in 2016 and 2019, two Indian submarines entered Pakistan, and we detected their submarines with old version of this aircraft. Like for example, we have got PC-3 Orion aircraft, and this one is P8I. P8I is the advanced version, and PC-3 Orion is the old version. With old version aircraft, we detected India's submarines, advanced submarines, twice in 2016 and 2019. Imagine, with this particular capability in the Indian Navy, Pakistani submarine would be, highly vulnerable, because it can easily detect Pakistani submarines and they can easily take out Pakistani submarines. So this is something which is, threatening for Pakistan's maritime interest and maritime capabilities. Another important thing which the Indians got from US was ultralight howitzer artillery. Let me tell you that before this artillery, India had Bofors guns which had a range of about 27 kilometers. और वो 80s की गन है, बहुत पुरानी गन है, and they use this particular gun in the Kargil as well, the Bofors. So previously, this particular thing, artillery, is a new addition, and they bought it from the US. And this particular artillery is going to give Indian army with a greater, offensive punch as far as the land forces are concerned. It can provide India a cover for the land forces, because it would, seriously hamper the speed of Pakistani tanks. So such things are seriously, hampering Pakistani security, because it is going to improve the Indian land forces, their, offensive capabilities, and it is going to add offensive punch in their overall military might. Apart from that, they are also getting Boeing Chinook heavy lift helicopters. These helicopters and C-130 aircraft, they are basically used for the transport and logistics. So you can easily transport your men at high altitude in a harsh weather conditions, so without any time delay. So this is something which is going to improve the Indian overall transport and logistics capability. The third important you can say aircraft is Globemaster, this one which I'm sharing with you. Globemaster is also the advanced aircraft of the you can say Indian Air Force, and India have got, I think they have got about 11 such aircraft. This aircraft has the capacity of about 70 tons of logistics, weapons, arms it can carry. Plus, you can also transport about 150 full packed soldiers with their gear, with their weapons, with their other equipment. So this is something which is again very important. And recently India used this particular you can say they have deployed this aircraft in Ladakh region. So this is something which is again very important. Another important thing in the South Asian context, in the Indian and Pakistani context, is the BMD system of India. BMD system, as I told you before, I think a ballistic missile defense system. This is something which is very important, and India is buying this system from Israel, Barakat. They are buying it from the Russians S-400, but at the same time, they're also buying Patriot advanced capability, missile systems from the Americans. So this missiles, this particular system is going to, create a serious challenge for Pakistani Air Force, Pakistani land forces. For example, if Pakistan is going to launch their missile, so there would be a threat that India may intercept Pakistani missile and it may destroy it in the air. Secondly, if Pakistani aircraft try to cross the Indian border, so they may take out Pakistani aircraft as well. So such capabilities are serious threat for Pakistan as well. So both countries are collaborating with each other, and they are coming up with these things. Apart from that, the Indians are also buying anti-submarine warfare helicopters, and this is something very, very important as far as their dominance in the Indian Ocean region is concerned. These helicopters, they are equipped with modern radars and other things. It can easily detect the submarines underwater. So that is something which is going to give the Indian Navy an offensive punch, because these helicopters would easily take out, Pakistani submarines or the Chinese submarines in the Indian Ocean region, or in near proximity with the Indian bases, for example. So such capabilities are again going to provide the Indian Navy with a greater, you can say, outreach and greater offensive punch in the region. Apart from that, the recent, you can say, experience of the Indian, after Pulwama attack, and when the India carried out, a bogus surgical strike in 2019, the Indians lost 2 aircraft as well. So to overcome that particular, such defeats or failures, the Indians have come up with, alternative strategies. The Indians and the Americans, they have carried out a deal to add Alpha S, or air launch flexible asset swarm attack. In a nutshell, in a very simple language, let me tell you that they are going to get many systems. Like, for example, they're going to have many um, drones which may attack in a group, and when they attack in a group, automatically the other country would detect these things, and they may take out some of them. But a few of the drones may sneak inside and attack the enemy air defenses, and they may achieve their target. So such things are seriously going to create strategic instability in South Asia, because Pakistani air defenses may not, shoot down all these drones. So there would be, chance, there would be opportunity for the Indians to sneak inside Pakistani air defenses and attack and achieve their targets. So ये use कर सकते हैं पाकिस्तानी आउटपोस्ट के ऊपर, पाकिस्तानी या कोई alleged terrorist training camps जो वो कहते हैं, although we don't claim that, but वो अगर किसी एरिया पे अगर अटैक कर देते हैं और कह देते हैं कि जी हमने टेररिस्ट ट्रेनिंग कैंप पे अटैक किया, तो that is a possibility, there is a possibility that they may use it for that. For example, और इसका एक और फायदा भी है कि ये these are unmanned aircraft. वो अभी लंदन की तरह नहीं है कि जहाज भेजा पायलट के साथ और जहाज भी मतलब थ्रेट लिया और जहाज भी क्रैश हो गया और बंदा भी पकड़ा गया. इसमें यह है कि अगर ये शूट डाउन हो भी जाए तो इसमें उनका उस तरह से नुकसान नहीं है. पायलट इज नॉट देयर. So such strategies, such capabilities are coming up in this region. So इस तरह की जो strategies हैं ये लाजमी बात है पाकिस्तान को मजबूर करेंगी कुछ ना कुछ steps लेने पर. Apart from these things, India and US, they are deeply collaborating in the nuclear domain as well. As I told you before, I think India is not signatory to NPT, and because of that, India cannot buy or India cannot have nuclear material from any country. This is a law. But Americans, they brought change in their law. And in 2005, they carried out a nuclear deal with India. And in 2008, they operationalized this deal and they brought a change in their own laws. जिसको वो कहते हैं 123 agreement. So, or Hyde Act. What they did actually, they brought a change in their law and they said that now they can, transfer technology. They can also provide nuclear fuel to the Indians, because the Indians are their track record of safety and security of the nuclear weapons and material is very good. So because of that, we are going to transfer, technology to the Indians. So such steps have seriously, put a question mark on the nuclear non-proliferation regime. So this is something which is good for Pakistan as well. Why? Because Pakistan can also get assistance from China in the same pretext. Now America will not ask China not to provide nuclear material know-how to Pakistan, because if India is not signatory to NPT, Pakistan is also not signatory to NPT. But this particular nuclear deal is going to create a serious challenge for Pakistan. How? It is going to improve. Let me explain this particular thing in a very simple manner. This particular deal is for civil nuclear, cooperation, and the material which the Indians are going to get, India is liable to use that material for civil purposes, like for example, medical, for example, energy, or agriculture and others, only for civil purposes. India, they have got about 22 or 24 nuclear reactors. Out of these 24 nuclear reactors, 8 are solely for military purposes, and remaining are for the civil purposes. What India is going to do, India is going to get nuclear fuel from other countries like France, Australia, Canada, America, Japan, and they are going to use that fuel for their civil purposes. And the fuel which they produce in their own country for civil purposes, that fuel they are going to turn it for the weapon grade, uranium and plutonium. In this case, in a very, in a layman's language, India is going to produce 300 to 400 warheads in next decade, which means they are going to have overwhelming qualitative and quantitative superiority over Pakistan. So such steps by the US are seriously challenging the you can say deterrent stability in South Asia. Other than that, last but not least, in 2012, the Americans introduced, Pivot Asia strategy, in which they said that the Asia is pivot because most of the population of the world is, residing in this region. Major economies like China, Japan, South Korea, India, they are in this region. So most of the trade activities taking place in this region. Most of the resources are in this region. Like for example, West Asia is rich in oil and gas resources. Central Asia is rich in oil and gas resources, and the major, you can say, maritime routes and maritime choke points are also in this region. So this is the reason that the Americans in 2012 decided that they are going to deploy about 60% of their strike capability, most of their strike maritime capability in this region, because they are engaged in Iraq, they were engaged in Afghanistan, they were engaged in Middle East, and now they are also fighting against terrorism like ISIS, and they are now trying to settle down their issues in Yemen and Afghanistan and other regions. So basically, Asia is very important for the US. So this is the reason that they have got they have targeted the most powerful country in South Asia, India, for example, which is a nuclear weapon state, which has a huge market, which has a huge military force. So they are now cultivating good ties with the Indians, so they can counter Chinese, of course, in this region, because China is dominant power in this region, and at the same time, um, uh, in that scenario, Pakistan is also getting hurt, because Indians are getting more and more weapons in the name of China, because they believe they have convinced the US and European countries that they are buying these weapons because they are facing imminent threat from the Chinese. And because of that, they are getting all sorts of weapons like aircraft, like BMD system, T-90 tanks, and many other things which are there. So directly or indirectly, it is creating strategic instability in this region, and Pakistan is facing the brunt. It is creating actually the security dilemma for Pakistan, because Pakistan is not a major economy, and Pakistan cannot afford arms race, arithmetic arms race in this region. So this is the reason that Pakistan has developed tactical nuclear weapons, and Pakistan has linked its tactical nuclear weapons with its conventional strategy to counter the Indian assertiveness in this region. So because of that, Pakistan has brought nuclear weapons on the field in a nutshell. So any conflict in this region would seriously undermine the regional and global security, because Pakistan will never undermine its security, and Pakistan will never accept defeat on the border. So the cooperation between India and US is creating serious troubles for Pakistan, and in future I think Pakistan and China would also come closer, and they are going to improve in all domains, especially in the defense. Both countries are also collaborating in the economic sector, but the defense collaboration may supersede the other collaborations in this region.